Today, we're talking about Claude Monet. And look, this is an artist who did way more than just paint pretty pictures. He completely changed how we see the world. So let's just start with the one question that really drove his entire life's work. What if the real subject, the real star of the show, wasn't the haystack or the cathedral or the water lilies? What if all that was just a stage for the main character, the light itself, that fleeting, invisible thing that dances across every surface? Because, you see, Monet wasn't really a landscape painter. He was an architect of perception. He wasn't painting a static place. He was trying to paint a specific moment in time. He was painting the atmosphere, the air, the light. And that's why he is so important. You have to picture him as this incredible bridge in the timeline of art. On one side, you've got the stuffy, super rigid, traditional art world of the French Salon. And way over on the other side, you've got the wild, totally abstract art of the 20th century. Monet, he's the guy standing right in the middle, connecting those two worlds. So how does a revolution like that even get started? Well, it definitely didn't start in the fancy art schools of Paris. Nope. It started on the windy, dramatic coasts of Normandy. This is basically his origin story. It all kicks off in Le Havre, where he's just soaking in this constantly shifting coastal light. Then, and this is a huge moment, he meets a painter named Eugene Boudin, who tells him something radical. Get out of the dark studio, go paint outside, right in the middle of nature. Game changer. And finally, in Paris, he finds his crew, his co-conspirators, Renoir, Bazille, and Sisley. All the pieces were in place. And that little seed of rebellion, well, it grew into a full-blown war. I'm not kidding. This was a battle for the soul of art, with Monet and his friends on one side and the most powerful institution in their world on the other. So let me introduce you to the villain of our story, the Paris Salon. It was run by the Academy, and it was the only way to make it as an artist. It was the ultimate gatekeeper. If you wanted a career, you had to get past their jury. And that jury liked one thing: grand historical paintings with a perfect, polished finish, so smooth you couldn't even see the brushstrokes. So after getting rejected again and again, Monet and his buddies decided, forget this, we'll do our own show. And this chart just shows what an insane gamble that was. Look at the attendance. 3,500 people saw their show. The official salon? 500,000. They were mocked as unfinished, while the salon was praised for its good manners. They were literally risking their entire careers just to be able to paint the way they wanted. And it was at that very exhibition that Monet showed this hazy, beautiful painting of the harbor where he grew up. He called it Impression, Sunrise. A critic looking for the perfect insult to dismiss the whole group saw that word, and he pounced. And here it is. This is the insult that named a movement. The critic, Louis Leroy, sneered, "Impression, I was certain of it. Wallpaper in its embryonic state is more finished than that seascape." He meant to destroy them by calling them mere Impressionists. But you know what? They loved it. They took the insult and wore it like a badge of honor. But here's the reality check. A revolutionary vision doesn't pay the rent. The Impressionists were broke. They were starving. For their art to survive, they needed a business revolution to go along with it. And that meant they needed an ally. And here he is. This is Paul Durand-Durrell, and you could argue he's the guy who saved Impressionism. He was a visionary art dealer. When absolutely no one else would touch their work, he didn't just buy a painting, he bet his entire fortune on them. And his plan was nothing short of genius. First, he gave artists like Monet a monthly salary. Think about that. It gave them the security to just create. Second, he basically invented the solo art show, focusing on just one artist to build their personal brand. And third, when France turned its back on them, he looked elsewhere. Which brings us to the single crucial number, 300. In 1886, in what was basically a last-ditch, Hail Mary effort, Durand-Durrell packed up 300 Impressionist paintings and set sail for New York City. And wouldn't you know it, it worked. America, without the stuffy traditions of the Paris Salon, went crazy for this new, vibrant art. The show was a smash hit. It didn't just save Durand-Durrell from going bankrupt. It made Monet a success, and it finally forced the French art world to look again and say, wait a minute, maybe we missed something. Okay, so now he's finally got some financial security, and that means Monet can fully, completely dedicate himself to his true obsession, capturing the very nature of light, almost like a scientist in a lab. You can see this obsession in something as simple as a shadow. The old school method, you just use black paint. But Monet, who was actually up on the latest science of optics, knew that shadows aren't actually black. They're full of reflected light and color. So instead of black, he used blues and oranges, side by side. He let your eye do the mixing from a distance, which creates this incredible, shimmering vibration of color. It's amazing. And this obsession led to his most famous technique, this serial method. He would literally set up a bunch of canvases in front of one thing, like the Rouen Cathedral, and as the sun moved across the sky, he'd jump from one canvas to the next, frantically trying to capture that specific envelope of light for that exact moment. See? The cathedral was never the subject. The light was. Now, in the final chapter of his life, Monet's quest to paint what he saw took this deeply ironic twist. A physical challenge, a painter's worst nightmare, would actually be the thing that pushed his art into its most radical, most futuristic phase. Monet developed severe cataracts in both of his eyes. The lenses that should have been crystal clear were turning yellow, cloudy, distorting his entire perception of the world around him. And this chart shows you the direct line between his medical chart and his canvas. The cataracts acted like a permanent yellow-brown filter over his eyes. He literally couldn't see blues and greens properly anymore. His world became dominated by reds and oranges, and as his vision got blurrier, the details disappeared and his brushstrokes got broader, more abstract. He wasn't trying to be an abstract painter, he was just painting the world as he now saw it. And the results were stunning. Decades after he died, these late, blurry, almost totally abstract paintings of his water lily pond were rediscovered in the 1950s, and they blew the minds of a new generation of American painters like Jackson Pollock. Monet had done it. He had redefined a painting not as a picture of something, but as the record of a perceptual event. Which leaves us with this one last kind of profound question. For an artist who was obsessed with pure light and pure sensation, was losing his sight the final necessary step? By being forced to let go of the details of the world, did his failing vision paradoxically allow him to finally see and to paint its true abstract soul?